Welcome back to another episode of Backyard Builds. By God, it's cold, but we're in the wagon and we're on the way to its first swap meet. Stay tuned for the roller coaster that has been the wagon. Before we go any further in this episode, be sure to put Koth on your calendar. King of the Hill, next weekend, 1st of October, October long weekend, spring range. Here's a clip of what's going to go down. So when we all used to start going to swap meets, you'd have to be here right at the gate open, which unfortunately is a thing of days gone by, even though I did it this morning, because you've still got people coming in. Sun's still coming up, but means you don't have to use a torch, but there's still people coming in, so they won't unpack the features. So it's normally a pretty good turnout through here. This area is normally pretty full, so a bit down on numbers this year, I'd say. But what can you do? Can't see if I can find a bargain. So see, people are still unloading, so no real rush to get here. Now Saxon was after something, and I think we've found it for him. We'll have to come back. There's no one here, but check out the Roper Rally. If that doesn't scream Saxon, don't know what does. All the old dirt bikes so you can piss off your neighbours. Like someone will be looking for a traffic light. Council maybe. Sign. Wollondilly Drive. Few purchases already.
Plus it is just all of it's about 60 bucks.
Yeah, no. What's that? Manifold.
You said give me 20. Yeah. So take it.
Stuff like that. So once that's done, then I get some. Well, I'm going to get some fruit trees in the next few weeks and start cleaning stuff. Yeah. Because now
We've got a set of lead distributors for Saxon. So been here probably nearly an hour now. We've made one purchase, that's it. There's still people driving in to set up, so it's pretty dismal to be honest. It's bloody cold. Have a look at this. It's a lovely driver. Call Ross. Comes with spares and has hubcaps 50k. Over here we have the mandatory Jack Daniels, Harley Davidson stuff. Nice scoop, old street machine.
I've seen white rabbit maybe 4 or 5 different times. It's thousands and thousands.
That'll buff out. Here's one for Matty Waters, the old custom vans. It's had a fair bit of work.
Oh yeah, that's really cold, isn't it?
Custom taillights. Oh, a bit of bulk. Unattended call. So as part of the Queanbeyan Swap Meet weekend, they actually have the Big 3 and All American Car Show. So we're going to check that out. This is normally on the Sunday, so we'll go and have a look.
From the back foot.
So the swap meet itself was alright. Did end up buying one thing. Two actually. I bought a 1936 Cadillac LaSalle grill, so very popular in the custom world for putting in the front of 36s. So I'm not sure if I'll go that way with it or whether I'll just want to sell it. But that is what I ended up buying. And a sausage and egg and bacon roll. That was it. So unfortunately it wasn't as good as normal. It was more of a social event, which was good. So on the way down, I said the wagon's been a roller coaster. What's been happening with it, you might ask? Weekend before the swap meet, I actually started the wagon up to move it into the carport to start thinking about pulling the motor out of it. When I started it, the lifter noise had gone away, so ended up running it. We drove it around the block a couple of times. Lifter noise was still gone. Drove it over to, I have a storage shed here in town, drove it over there. Noise was still gone. Went past my upholsterers, it sat there idled for a little while. Happy days, no issue. Left the upholsterers, lifter noise come back aggressively. Took it around the block once with Dad to make sure that I wasn't just hearing things. Dad confirmed that he could hear the lifter noise and it was very present. So took Dad around the block, ignition cut coming down the street for some reason. Started it back up and it was breathing really heavy and blowing some smoke out of the exhaust. So it was at that point, put it back in the carport and pulled the motor out of it. So that was the Sunday after the swap meet. Took us about 3 hours to get the motor out. Managed to get the motor out without having to take the box off, but had to disassemble all the extractors and everything like that. This is now the weekend after. Dad thankfully took it down to the engine builder for me on the weekend, so it's now at the engine builders. I've already bought another set of lifters, so we've now got a set of BAM solid rollers out of the States. They weren't cheap, but they were very, very, very highly recommended by a lot of people. So from what I read about BAM lifters, they are brass bushed, so no needle roller bearings, so much better for street use. If the brass bush wears out, then obviously we get loads of lifter noise and can't get the preload on the lifter, which is fine. We'll run out of adjustment screw. It's not going to put needle rollers all through my motor, which is awesome. So while the motor's apart, I decided to do something that I should have done straight off the bat, and that's get the heads ported. So those Edelbrocks flow reasonably well out of the box, but as with everything, they could be better. So they're currently on their way to Adelaide now to be CNC ported. I should receive those back in about 3 weeks, so decent turnaround time on those. As far as everything else goes, it's all up to the engine builder now. We pulled the converter out, ring gear was no good. I'll cut to some footage of that now. But ring gear had actually cracked and it seems like it had ballooned. Spoke to my transmission builder about it. That was the risk I ran on my part, running a converter that I bought secondhand that I was told was out of a running car, and it was running well, it was just too small, which should have worked reasonably well with the cam from the stall speed that I was told it was. Stall speed was nowhere near what I was told it was, but converter's also no good. So we're in the process of getting one of those sorted. Fingers crossed that can happen. You might wonder where I'm sitting. I'm currently sitting in the next project from me. It is now 15 weeks out from Summernats. I've already entered 2 cars, so we will be there in the car that I'm currently sitting in, as well as the wagon. So 15 weeks is a pretty tight deadline. I've got a lot going on with work and even a trip to Japan in the middle. So what I'm currently sitting in, I'm not going to tell you about. Some of you may already know what it is. Some of you would have seen it in the background of other videos. It has been in the backyard. I have got a good motor for it, a good transmission, and we're going to get it back together, back on the road and ready for Summernats. So we'll be there. Don't forget, King of the Hill next weekend. Please come out and support Nick.
He supports us no end. There's a few people that I'd like to thank, Nick being one of them, but especially Dan of late. Dan has been unbelievably helpful in what's going on with the wagon and helping me try and diagnose what's happening. He is the unofficial official Backyard Builds mechanic, so thanks again, Dan. I really appreciate it. But thanks for watching. We'll see you again on another episode of Backyard Builds.